Welcome back to the Nerdrotic channel. My name is Gary Beekler. I am live in San Francisco, California, and I come to you from nerdrotic.com. Always late, worth the wait. That's what I hear anyway from a couple people in the chat. And today is a very special day because we are honoring a Patreon request that I'm really glad I did. It was it's so good. We're covering Farscape season 1 today. It's not really good. It's going to be more of a discussion than a review. And we have a couple of very special guests today. In parts unknown, we have Feisty Fan. How's it going, Feisty?
Hello, I'm good. I had today off, so I woke up at 11, caught the last bit of your stream, and then did a thing, and now I'm back.
We always got to do those things. That's what I was doing too. And we also have, for the first time on the channel, but man, a regular in the chat, the defunct producer of the Nerdrotic channel, Viking Bitch. What is up?
I'm so excited to be talking about Farscape. It's my favorite show ever. I'm excited.
I am too. I see why now. And this is kind of one of those head scratchers where I don't know, maybe I was in a different space at that time. Maybe it was the puppet thing, but that's not really accurate because it's Jim Henson puppets. I've always liked the Dark Crystal, so I have no idea why I didn't watch the show. It's kind of a bummer, but I did get to miss the whole it being canceled thing, so I'm very happy about that. And it stands up very well today. Now I have done individual episode reviews that are on our channel up through episode 6, and we were kind of waiting to get things coordinated in the meantime. So I have completed season 1. Am I going to remember all the names and lores? No, that's why we have Feisty and especially Viking Bitch, who's the encyclopedia. She is also kind enough to send me something so we can talk about some of the, like Frel and stuff like that. That's the one I remember. And that's the one I'm probably going to use around my house in front of my kid now instead of actually dropping an F-bomb. I think that's a good idea. So I'm going to throw this around. My general thoughts on it is I loved it. The characterization is perfect. Guardians of the Galaxy and Disney owe these guys some money.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I had no idea, really no idea how much they really are paying homage to Farscape. They had Ben Browder in the second one. That's the least they can do. They need to have the rest of the cast in and do something because holy crap. Now, if you're going to use a formula, use that formula. But holy crap, guys. and then it makes me think back. We can't blame James Gunn for this because they based this on a comic book series that did come out after this show aired. It actually started hitting around right when it got canceled. So this version of Guardians of the Galaxy that you're seeing is from a comic book. And but I love it. I love it. Feisty, what did you think overall?
I loved it. When it started getting really good for me and I started getting really excited was when Chiana showed up, but Rigel's definitely my spirit animal. God, yeah. It was really refreshing to see special effects makeup and practical special effects. I was like, oh, and I'm with you too. I don't know how I missed this. I mean, I was a freshman in high school when this aired and I was pretty geeky, but I was not geeky enough to watch all the sci-fi show. I was still watching X-Files, I think. So, was X-Files?
Yeah, X-Files was just ending. It was the last couple years when this started.
Yeah, so I don't know how I missed this. I'm really sad that I did, but I watched it now. So I really liked it. And I agree with you with the Guardians of the Galaxy thing because I read that series. So I'm like, okay, right on.
That was shocking. I was like, damn. Here I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was this really original thing. Even the comic book. Now it's still good in its own right, and I guess you kind of look at it as a DS9 B5 kind of thing. Yeah, there might have been some stealing, but who cares? We win because both things were good.
Yeah.
So Viking Bitch, did you get into Farscape from the get-go? Were you there from the beginning or did you get in later?
Yes, I was watching when it was still on the air, and I was hooked from about season 3 on. And I've actually been thinking about why I like Farscape so much. And I was never like a huge Star Trek fan or Star Wars. I mean, I liked them, but I wasn't like, I'm going to go to con and dress up and, you know. And then I started watching Farscape and I'm like, oh, I get it. Now I understand why those people are.
Sorry,
It just, for me, Farscape filled that void of, because I wasn't really into like the military stuff of Star Trek and the, you know, so Farscape was somewhere in the middle of that. And it was all about the characters and the world building and the religion and the culture. And I was just like, yes. So I think that's why it was kind of a hard sell too, because it's different from other kinds of sci-fi. And yet at the same time, it draws a lot, you know. Crichton's constantly making pop culture references and stuff like that, but it doesn't have that structure like other shows do. So a lot of people are just like, puppets, So, but once you get in there, it's like, oh, this is fantastic.
Absolutely agree. And that's the thing is, maybe I'm trying to think of what my perspective was back then. It looked, okay, forgive me, Farscape fans. This was me in my late 20s or early 30s. No, God, late 20s. Ooh, that was a long fucking time ago. Early 30s. I was at the comic store, and the only thing I knew about Farscape was people were coming in and whining constantly that it was canceled because I started my comic store in 2003. So it was still around, but it was like on the bubble at some points. And I remember seeing it in previews and ordering some of the comics. And the first thing that stuck out with me is I really hated the font of the logo. And I know that sounds stupid, but you know, that's important. That's your eye-catching thing. I was like, I kind of don't like that. And it looked very, I was under the impression it was like a really cheap BBC show. I mean, I knew nothing about it. So I'm like, I don't know. I like some of that stuff. I don't like some of that stuff. Then, Movie Finobi. Again, by the way, previous super chat earlier. Thank you, Movie Finobi. I got to go way up there. $5. It says, Gary, I love Farscape. Been waiting for this review. Excited for two of my favorite ladies, Viking Bitch and Feisty, to join you. Rock on, positive nerdrotic. And a Movie Finobi, $2. It's ladies' night. Viking Bitch and Feisty feel just right. And now I've said that. Yeah.
You can't unsay it, man. Sorry.
Nope, man. Can't unmake the soup, you know. Yep. All right. So where was it? Yeah. So my general impression was probably very, I don't know, being a dude about it, just going, it looks kind of lame. Puppets, fuck that shit, you know. And I didn't have a ton of time either. That being said, I'm with Viking Bitch on this count that I prefer camaraderie and world building over what Star Trek turned into towards the end, which was very static procedural stuff. I know this might sound sacrilege to Star Trek fans. That's just how I felt. I still love Star Trek. I adore Star Trek. But we know the crew. I mean, like after season 1, we know the crew intimately. We know their secrets. We know everything about them. And that's the great part of these. That's how you have to use 5 people trapped on a ship. They're going to be sitting around and telling each other's dark secrets. And I don't know if anybody's, I don't know, probably not. If you ever been in a situation where we'll say holiday camp. If you ever gone to holiday camp or rehab and you get into situations like this, you start talking to people more. And that was real about it. And that what was cool. The effects really aren't that bad for the time. They're honestly not completely believable. You know, the stationary puppet, you get past it. I love Pilot and the way they weave that into the story on like how he has to stay stationary, you know, and that Moya is like this living thing. It's and the relationship they build. It's great. It's great.
And Pilot is a character all his own, and he has all these emotions and memories, and he attaches himself to the characters. And yeah, it's way beyond just a puppet. Even Rigel, the way they put their hands on him, and you know, he's a fully fleshed out character. It's not just, you know, puppet on a stick.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no way in hell. Yeah, but and that is evident in the first couple of episodes. And you're right. It's you know, the first part of the season is a little wonky. And I started seeing that when you get later on. It really kicks into gear around episode. I don't know. I like that old Black Magic. Is that what the episode's called? Where that was a great episode. Where
that
crazy.
was yes.
love that episode because you see where they're going. There's this whole vengeance thing, and John's like, listen, it was an accident. I didn't mean to kill your bro. He's just trying to get through to him, and then finally it turns into this brutal thing, and you find out there's this dark wizard, and you're like, oh, cool. There's like dark wizards and space, and like Hitchhiker could occupy. Like Farscape fits in the Hitchhiker universe. It would actually fit in Doctor Who like really well. That's the kind of shit I love. So
yeah. And I was going to say something about what you just said. And then Old Black Magic, you see Crichton, he's like always trying to talk his way out of stuff, and he's such a good person, and he's always trying to see the good in other people. It's like, if I could just talk to him, if I could just convince him, because he's a scientist, he's not a soldier. And that was so refreshing to me too. It's like, and he's the alien because he is so out of his depth. And even though he's this incredibly smart guy, he's thrust into this universe that he knows absolutely nothing. He can't open a door. He can't figure out how things work. And he feels really stupid because everybody else understands how things work. But then at the same time, he starts rubbing off on other people. And it's like, well, let's just try this or let's just try that. Even though they kind of make fun of him. It's like, that's your plan. But still.
Didn't they all coin a term for like the Crichtonism or something like that? I'm trying to remember the first couple episodes. Or, oh, that's so Crichton, or don't be like.
He is Crichton.
He is Crichton. There it is. He is Crichton. So yeah, I thought that was funny too.
I love before this started, Viking Bitch sent me, and it wasn't like some kind of link. It was her typing out Farscape lingo and slang.
Yes, I know,
she
right?
Typed it all out like off the top of her head. That's impressive shit.
No, you mean impressive. Hold on. I got a word for that.
Wait, impressive. Wait, yeah, we got to go in there. What is
Dren? That's some impressive Dren there.
Dren.
Right.
Yes. Right. Thank you.
Frelling has mana. That's some impressive Dren.
Oh man. But when we do the season 2 review, we'll do it in as much Farscape lingo as we can.
Nice.
Yes.
Yes. The season 2 review might come real fast because the way season 1 ended, I was like, sorry guys, I gotta put off the podcast another hour because I gotta watch the next episode. But we should get to the chat. Okay, so my favorite character right now is Dargo. I'm a Dargo guy. I like Dargo. Finding because you find out his story throughout the first season, and you find out why he was locked up. And it's really fucked up. And he's got a kid. I should have probably used your spoiler paddle. A little late for that. Well, it's an old fucking show, but yeah, spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert.
It's a little late for that. But another super chat. Another super chat from, oh God, you know what? I got to say this slowly so I don't fuck up a super chatter's name. Cormoran. Thank you very much for the Australian $5. As an Aussie, my favorite bit about Farscape. Am I sounding Aussie or South African?
Wow.
As an Aussie, my favorite bit about Farscape was that a lot of extras were Aussies. So the peacekeepers were basically evil Aussies in space. And they were all named Bruce.
Even the women.
Fish are friends, not food.
Fish are friends, not food. Very good. Thank you so much for the super chat, and we fucking love Aussies. Okay, they're you guys rock. I can't wait to go down there and hang out with your dangerous spiders.
No,
go
thank you.
Out back and be the ugly American. I really enjoy being the ugly American in other countries too. I get really obnoxious. And yeah. Oh God, yeah. This food tastes like shit. No, I'm just that was me in the UK. The first bite of food I took in the UK, I almost spit out. I did. I'm sorry, but it was a BLT. And how do you fuck up a BLT? I don't think an Aussie would fuck up a BLT though, because they're fucking Aussies. So let's get to the chat a little bit, ladies. But we can also continue. So yeah, I like Dargo. I do. He started out very Klingon, but he's like an onion, and you peel him back, and it's kind of like, Yeah, it's kind of like how I describe my wife, and she knows that her best friend describes her as a pineapple, like kind of a little hard on the outside, but all smushy and squishy on the inside. That's kind of like what Dargo is. So I like characters like that. They also a good this what hooks me in is I like a good redemption story, and this is all just full of little redemption stories. And what my favorite part of Buffy is like how the bad guys would turn good, and like, the whole Angel bit. I love Angel's story arc, Wesley's and Angel. Yeah. So I get a Buffy feel from this show as well. It's part of the writing from the late 90s, which I'm learning to appreciate so much more right now. But let's hear what the people have to say. So I'm going to go up as far as I can. Can you guys see the chat, or do you need a link to that?
I see it.
I see
it. And if you guys see something you want to read, go, feel free. Mikasa Sukasa.
6 Scale Combat says Aussie BLT is a beer, lettuce, and tomato.
Oh, that's great.
Oh my God. That is funny. Crichton is sort of like John Carter or Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court type of character, right? Yes, absolutely. Man out of place, not man out of time, man out of place.
Yeah.
There's definitely some John Carter in there for sure, which is a great book and story. And I actually like the movie as well.
I enjoyed the movie too. So I can agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
Cato Roan brings up a really good point, because I have this in my notes. What are your favorite scenes in the first season? I actually have a list, if you would indulge me for a second.
Oh, Mikasa Sukasa, you get your list out and I'll try to remember mine. Mine are going to be typical probably, but go on.
So some of my favorite moments, one of my absolute favorite moments was when John was talking to Crace. They have Crace locked up on Moya, and he's talking to him through the bars, and he tells him he's desperate for male-to-male conversation, and a single tear rolls down his cheek. And he just wants to talk about football and have a beer, but he's in this alien world and everything is so abnormal. He just wants a little bit of normalcy, but all these aliens keep kicking him in the face. But he's just such a good person. And I just love that moment from John.
I love that moment as well.
That
was a good one, and it reminded me of men's meetings and why we have in AA and NA we have men's and women's meetings, because that shit is important. It absolutely is important on a human level, even the basic stuff. So, and that's the moments that this is why it rises above like your typical show, even today, by the way.
Right. And I also love Stark's introduction, with the character that he meets when he's locked up from Scorpius, and the fellow prisoner, and he's going, my side, your side, my side, your side. And he's such I don't know if everybody knows, but Paul Goddard, who played Stark, also was in The Matrix. He played Agent Brown. So that is such an interesting character, and he kind of evolves over time in later seasons. I won't spoil anything, but he kind of pops in and out. But he's like, he's what's called a Stykera. So he is able to absorb the last memories of people who have died or are dying. And he can also give comfort to people who are in pain. He's absolutely fascinating too. And he plays a big part later.
Nice.
And Aaron's quote, when Dargo and Crichton are arguing, and Aaron is like, oh, just to be in the warm glow of all this testosterone, that makes me laugh every
time. My favorite quote is kind of contradictory to that. So when Rigel is talking, I can't remember which one he's talking about. I think it was all his servants. He had like 70,000 servants or something like that. And then he goes, all my wives would wait on me. And then John goes, wait a minute, wives? He goes, oh, my man. And he high fives him. Oh, Rigel.
Well, he did have 60 billion subjects, so he's going to have some wives.
Did.
Actually, that's one of my favorite moments. Was it third episode when he was talking to the dude in the cell? And he was talking, like him being smart and like trying to dig his way out. I don't know. I love that little scene that in comparing his subjects to the other dude's subjects. What was that? What is that? Thrown for a Loss. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. That had some really good moments in it. And then my other favorite moment, I think, was in the last, either second to the last or the last episode, when Chiana and Rigel are together and Rigel's sitting on top of her, and then you hear this squeak, and then their voices get really high, and she's like, "What was that?" He's like, "I don't know," and I'm like, "Dude, he totally farted on Chiana. That's amazing."
That was so funny.
Sorry,
disgusting.
We're leave it to Feisty to like fart jokes and play. Yeah, sorry, I have a dumb sense of humor. It's fine. I like fart jokes. I'm all about it.
And I yeah. So the dude here is gonna like when Aaron and John like made out for the first time, and they finally like, because it's been building forever,
Yes.
and they're always in like a room where they're sweating. There's a lot of sweat in the show. Everybody's sweating a lot.
Yeah.
And it's just steamy, and they're sitting there like talking about not wanting to die alone, and then of course they start like making out with their big rubber suits on, and I'm sorry, space suits,
Right,
but it's a big rubber suit, and then Dargo comes in and
with that look on his face, it's like,
Yep.
what did I just walk into? A little smile.
Yep. And then how
Farrell says it was groundbreaking and windbreaking show. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, you might have won the chat today. That is a winner. That is a winner.
Oh God.
Oh, a Midnight's Edge After Dark sent us. That is great. Thank you very much. We are talking. It's one subject right now. We're talking about Farscape. What's up, CD Horde? Nice to see you. It's good to see everybody in here.
There are 70 people watching.
Dang, that's great. We need more people watching the show, and I don't know, then the networks can bring it back in some awful fashion and piss everybody off. I mean, like do it justice. Okay, so before we go on, I will ask Viking Bitch I want to know your feelings on this. If they brought this show back in just in any way, what would be the way you prefer if you had no choice? I mean, maybe your first choice is that it never comes back, but how would you like to see it brought back?
If I had my way, I would want the original cast to come back, and it would be years later, because after the Peacekeeper Wars, there was a bunch of comics written, and that extended the story, and I would want it to start from there. And it would be for the next generation, let's just say. So that's where I would like to see it. If they ever rebooted it with a whole new cast, I honestly don't think it would work, because this was filmed in Australia by, it's Australian actors and extras, and there's no way you could recreate that kind of magic. And it was the way it was filmed, the timing, all that stuff. There's just a reboot with different cast and different crew would not work. And we need some of the writers to come back as well.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the actors. It was great chemistry between the actors, which I don't think gets talked about enough in shows. That's, and you can't always get that. You got to force it, but it really worked. Right. And you're right. Just the timing of it, the charm of it. It has that. I mean, I don't know. It seems like Australian charm to the show that we don't do here for some reason. I don't know. There's and the depth of it. I was in our big long pre-production meeting. I was talking about. I miss like good makeup and sets. And there's not many shows out there that we're watching that do this right now, and the two that do, I'm not a big fan of. So Feisty wants to fight me on one of those, but I know Magicians does a lot of good makeup and stuff, but I'm not really into that show. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I'm not into it. And then Star Trek Discovery. Other than the Klingons, they do some interest, like the robot, they do some interesting stuff. They at least try, but everything else is like post-apocalyptic, rag future or something like that, which I hate. That's what I love about this show. God, there was one scene in the one with the dog bounty hunters where the outside set looked like the Force Awakens. I'm like, it doesn't look much worse than the Force Awakens outside set, to be honest with you. And one was a multi-million-dollar movie, and they probably shot this on a back lot where they had to throw down sand on a parking lot or something like that. Believe me, they do that shit all the time.
Yep.
It was awesome. I loved it. And that's what I love about this show. It looks lived in, like seriously lived. There's a layer of dirt on everything. That's what makes it special.
Absolutely.
T. Stoney says Magicians is a good show. STD sucks. Magicians is better than STD. I'll give you that. But
I'll take it.
Yeah, Farscape.
Oh yeah.
So I do want to talk a little bit more about some of my favorite stuff, because I want to just talk about how awesome this show is.
Absolutely.
So some of my favorite things is when I found out that Zan was an evolved plant. Oh, the artist in me, like my brain exploded. I'm like, oh my God, that's so incredible. And I like made a whole bunch of art of people turning into plants. And that was like, huge. And I thought that was extremely original and just the way she described it. I mean, she's so beautiful. I never would have guessed that she was a plant. And I'm like, oh, and then you look back and it's like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Tim F. Toe Cutter from Mad Max was in Farscape as well. Yes, that he plays a part later on in a later season.
Good old Toe Cutter. Yeah, that was, what episode was that in? That was oh God, I can't remember now.
I know I have a list of like episode names. Right? I'm like, what?
That's brilliant though. That was, and it kind of makes sense when you see how she looks.
Right.
But
which episode do we find out that Zan turns into a plant?
Yes.
Bone to be Wild.
Bone to be Wild.
Yep. Second to the last episode.
We find out so much stuff later on, like towards the end. They really, it's called a payoff.
Yes.
We're so not used to those things these days because it's got to be a mystery box. But yes, that's please continue that. No, that's brilliant.
And I was, like I said, I was hooked from episode 3. So I was highly invested in this show. And then we get to Durka Returns and they introduce the character of Chiana. And my first reaction is, oh my God, they're introducing a bimbo. What the fuck, And then I started watching it and I'm like, no, she's fantastic. And she, just like everybody else, she's going to grow and change as the season progresses. But she is so alien, her movement and the way she talks. And I just loved her. And she's like looking at a black and white photo as she is fascinating. And then later, I won't spoil anything, but later on, we get to also find out a little bit more about her backstory. And yeah, she's absolutely my favorite character.
She might be, I love her look. The look is like badass. That's good hair, good makeup, good costume, everything about it. Again, something we're missing a lot today. At first, when I first saw her, I've seen her visually. I've never like heard her talk before. So I was fully expecting to get like this thick Australian accent or something like that. She's American. What? And, yeah, it was interesting. At first I liked the introduction, but I wasn't too sure. I'm like, everybody loves this character. I don't know why right now, but it grows on me later on. So,
interesting you bring that up because her accent does change because every episode they would have a different director, and some directors are like do an Australian accent, and then the next one would be like do an American accent, and they did finally settle on the American. But it was amazing that I think it really spoke to Gigi Agilie's talent as an actor that she could pull that off and still stay in character. And she had all these different directions coming at her, and she just rolled with it.
Yeah, and like you said, her movements in her costume, like especially you can immerse yourself when you're in all that makeup and stuff. But like, yeah, it's like when she, like in her first episode when she's standing there, she's all shoot me, and she's like, I don't know, she's standing like Spider-Man a little bit,
right? Yeah,
yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's immersion.
Yep, very cool. And there's this. I kind of wish we were doing like a few episodes at a time, but it's okay. I'll take what I can get. I won't complain. There's just so much.
There is a lot.
For me, like the turning point is DNA Mad Scientist.
Oh
episode
my God!
11.
I was going to say that too. You're reading my mind.
Yes. If you can make it through that episode, because they go dark and they show the worst in all these characters, and if you can still come out of that and go, I still like the show, you are what's called a scaper. You'll be a scaper for life. You join the cult of Farscape.
Ha sorry if I got really loud and like blew everybody's ears out, but That was funny because I was gonna say something about that episode, and then you did, and I'm like, get out of my brain, vodka bitch! Get out of my brain!
Thank God for sound adjusting mics. That's all. Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely,
sorry.
because there's consequences with that episode, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this one of those episodes where everybody's on a drug or some shit, or we're in an alternate universe, or it's a nightmare? I mean, because they ripped Pilot's fucking leg off,
Yep.
like without a second thought.
Yeah.
They're like, you have a chance to go home, but we need one of your pilot's legs. Okay, we'll be right back. And like, they're like, what? Wait a minute, And there's and the peacekeeper is the one who's like having the problem with everything,
Right?
And they're like, oh, fuck you. And then you find out, oh yeah, they were all in a prison ship for a reason.
Right.
So yeah, and that was fucked up. That was really fucked up. But
Yes,
and then you find out like the DNA guy, it's like this giant like lab bunny rabbit, whatever the fuck it is, that got tested on and got more intelligent than the scientist and started testing on the scientist. And that was crazy episode. I loved it. And then fucking Erin gets fucked up. She gets mutilated and everybody gets mutilated. This guy, the guy running the lab is sick fuck, but he's super intelligent and he's grafting a different species onto himself. And at one point he gets shot and he just heals up. And yeah, I love that episode.
Yeah, he turns his pain receptors to pleasure.
Oh,
Please
yeah.
press harder.
Yes, that was great. Yeah, Crichton like bends his arm behind his back, and he's all, I just flipped that. He's all, You're like, wait, yeah.
I love the humor in the show too. Like the fact that it does make you laugh, like hard too. Like I had to rewatch a couple scenes because I was laughing so hard I missed it. So.
Hey, and PTSD before PTSD was all hip with Rigel. Rigel has major PTSD from being tortured. Yeah, so.
And that they really did handle that well too. And Matthew Mattson, I'm not going to talk about the third season just yet, but later in the show, it does go darker. But even, you see the seeds right in the beginning, which is another thing I love about Farscape. It's just one big long story. All the stuff they're setting up in season 1 is going to pay off in season 2, 3, and 4. But there is consequences, and like the things that are happening to John are going to come up later. The things that are happening to Rigel, and only they don't like talk about it. It's just a part of their lives. I mean, in some ways, Chan is pretty fucked up too. She's been through some pretty horrible shit, and you just keep going and you just keep pushing forward. And nobody there's no talking about feelings in hallways.
No, not at all. If they do, it's like when they're imprisoned or something like that, and that's fine. I mean, feelings once in a while is fine, but you know what? Okay, when they're walking down hallways, this show takes care to make it exciting. They do that handheld moving camera that's always moving up. Like that's the shit we don't do in America that we need to do.
Yep.
Because you're making otherwise it's just walking, and they have to walk down a lot of hallways in this show, and they make it different. I will compare it to a show, Krypton, which has 50 times the budget this show had. It's a modern show, and it doesn't even get close to standing up to this show. And it's not as fun. This show's fun. Underlying everything else, if you want to say one word, it's fun.
Yes,
that's what I love about it.
And the inside of the ship is, to me, is super interesting. So when they're walking down a hallway, it's like, oh, I want to see more of that. I would live inside of Moya if I could. I would decorate my house to look like the inside of Moya.
That's hot. Sorry, I can't help it.
Well, especially if your house can give birth to another house.
Right.
Could you birth me a guest house in the backyard?
Moya just kind of birthed me. Oh, I made a joke before we went on. I made a Farscape joke. It was pretty awesome. You should have been there, Carrie. But yes. But I think another one of my favorite episodes was the human reaction.
Yes.
Where, I think I'm trying to remember the premise. Oh God, it's where a wormhole appears and then John goes, he goes back to Earth, but it's not really Earth. It's this like alien race trying to like right? Am I getting this right? Mikey bitch. You take
Yes.
it like yes, yeah. So the fact that like, you know, John doesn't really I don't know, he doesn't really side with Earth, but he sides with his friend. Like I'm just like, oh, he likes everybody in this shit. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
And he also understands that the species was actually not evil, and
Yeah.
if they went to Earth, they even said that they would die like immediately. It's like, yeah, probably not a good idea to go to my planet. Really sorry. And it also put him in touch with his. He got to see his own perspective of his father.
Yes.
So he sees what his father sees, which is, and then he also got to have a little bit of closure, even though it wasn't his real dad. He got a little bit of closure with that. And that was a good episode. That was a good father-son episode. Wow. You don't see that shit anymore.
Right.
Yeah, that one's one of my faves for sure.
And I don't know if you guys caught it or like if you saw, it was clear John and Aaron did hook up in that episode. Yep. And then they just pretended like it didn't happen after that.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. They go there with this show. The show's also has sex in it.
Racy. Yes. I like it. I'm like, ooh, oh, okay.
Yep.
All right.
And there's just season 2 is basically Dargo gets laid across the galaxy. There's much more set. Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh, now I want to see it. Good, Dark, especially that one episode. I love that when he's like, when he basically at the end he's like, "Listen, I haven't gotten laid in a long time," and then John's like patting him on the back, and us guys sometimes we don't have a ton of sympathy for each other, but that's one of those few that we just automatically go right there with you, brother. It's all good.
Right. Yes, Matthew Madsen, Dargo and the Zenithan pirate. That was funny. I am the female of the species.
Okay.
I'm considered quite hot.
Yes. That was hilarious. CD Horde brings up something. He says, "You folks are very passionate about Farscape. I thought it was meh. The puppets were off-putting. I may get it another shot. Where is it available?" It's like not available anywhere. I had to like go to a secondhand shop to get and Amazon to get like copies of the DVDs. Like,
right.
It's the only place you could see it streaming, but it's actually free and it's pretty easy to find while it's still up. CD Horde Daily Motion. You have to put up with the pop-ups and all that bullshit, but Daily Motion has all of season 1. I know for a fact because I was watching some of it there before my my Blu-rays showed up. There is a Blu-ray complete season Blu-ray for 70-something bucks. It's kind of expensive. But Daily Motion, or do what Feisty did, go to a secondhand shop or go look for the used DVDs on Amazon. Those are really, really cheap.
Yeah, $7.99 for a season.
Poopy Fanobi says Zan could give me a plant orgasm anytime she likes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a photogasm, by the way.
Ooh, I was going to say, no, I was going to make a joke about watering, but never mind.
That's Farbot, Gary.
That's Farbot? Okay. I got to get back to my list. Hey, now.
Check it out.
I know. I'm all like, wait, I have a word. There's a word for that.
That's crazy. Well, up your EMA. What's how you say it? EMA?
Yes. Oh God, it's so good.
Yeah. Well, I am currently drinking a Raslak, and it may or may not have spilled on my Lumas.
Oh no! It's hard to get Raslak out of your Lumas. You might have to go to the dry cleaner. I tried to see. You guys are making this hard to concentrate. Farscape complete series DVD on. Here we go. That's too expensive. That's way too expensive. What the hell? Okay, there you go. More buying options. Farscape season 1, $8.72. I don't know what the shipping is, but yeah. Daily Motion.
One thing that's being brought up in the chat is comparing Farscape to Lex. Now, Lex came later, and Lex is a little similar because he's got a living ship and all that stuff, but in my opinion, Lex cannot compare to Farscape. I did watch them both, and I'm biased. I love my Farscape. I mean, Dargo can survive for half an Arn in vacuum. Lex can't top that. Half an Arn in space.
Half an Arn. I'm usually a half an hour late to the podcast.
And we count the microns while we wait for Gary.
Yeah.
But it feels like a cycle, Gary.
Feels like a cycle. Yeah. It's not the cycles, it's the arns or whatever. I don't know. Sorry. Hey, I'm gonna check out Lex. I get Lex brought up pretty much every chat, so I'm going to check it out next year. That is on my next year list. I'm a little packed up. I got to check out Vikings next, which I'm sure I'm gonna.
Yeah,
like.
that's I've started watching that too. So,
But well, depending on how well this one's, I really want to do a season 2 review too. Actually, I'm like when we're done here, I'm going to watch the fucking
I
next
know.
episode.
I want to see what happens.
Yes.
There are serious consequences from season 1 to season 2, and season 2 goes a little bit darker than season 1. And you can little hint, you can tell everyone's state of mind by the state of their hair. Pay attention to that.
Oh,
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Look at John's hair in the second season. You can tell something not right there.
well, it depends. I mean, there's well, you know what I mean. Yeah. Okay,
I don't want to give
that.
anything away.
Mako, I will finish Farscape first. I'm gonna burn right through it now because I started. I rewatched the last. I watched 7 episodes yesterday. I blew off a podcast yesterday. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna stop watching Farscape. And then I went. Oh, I didn't tell. To my proof of love of a show is I spent $100 on action figures about an hour ago. So I've got a full set of everybody in the crew and some bad guys. I don't know. Is there a ship? Do they have a toy of the ship anywhere? So
I believe
or a set. I
know you can get the pulse rifles, and the badges, the comm badges. Yeah, Pan Farm Girl, see what you did, Viking bitch. I know. I got some converts. I believe you can get Moya's what do you call it, little model, but I think you have to paint it. So,
ooh, I could do that.
There you go.
I paint miniatures, so yeah.
Nice.
That is some level 11 nerdy shit that I do not do.
My level of nerdy hold on, what Drell? Right, Dren. My level of nerdy Dren knows no bounds.
knows no bounds.
So can we talk about Scorpius for a minute?
We could talk about Scorpius.
Ever.
He's evil.
Oh, when that first moment when you see him in that quiet voice and those piercing eyes, oh, I was hooked. I was like, damn. That's because it's a villain you love to hate. And he's so sleazy and yet intelligent. And then later you find out the backstory about Scorpius. You know, Gary, you mentioned redemption. This show is all about hope and redemption. And no matter how bad you are, everybody gets a second chance.
Ooh.
But that's the thing I like about Buffy. Buffy does that as well. So yes, I like Scorpius a lot. I love the Hellraiser Borg type of look that he's got. True bad guy, which we don't get very much these days. With a decent motivation, but yeah, because I was to be honest with you, when I saw Crace, I was like, this is the bad guy. He looks kind of nice. I mean, like he looks like, I don't know. I mean, he looks like a bouncer from somewhere, but he doesn't look like he's going to be the big baddie the whole time. And then I kind of know somewhat what's going to happen a little bit. You could just tell from images and stuff. But yes, he's a good bad guy. I love him, and I love the look. Mainly, I love the look.
Yeah.
And you're only as good as your bad guy,
right?
And this show has it in spades. So I can't wait to see season 2. I love it.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about Crace too is, he started off and he was in command, and then Scorpius kind of took over. And Braca, that Lieutenant Braca, he was Crace's second. He just suction cups himself onto the ass of who's ever in power. So it's like, oh, Scorpius is in charge. Okay, and he does this as the seasons go on too. So Braca is also a great kind of sleazy bad guy.
A survivor. He's a survivor, kind of like Rigel, a survivor.
Right.
Yes.
Rigel may be small, but boy, he knows how to worm his way through.
Oh, fuck yeah. The one episode where Crichton gets takes off, goes through the wormhole, and gets lost on that planet. Basically, a Pacific Island planet, and offers the lady food, and that's like a basically a mating ritual there or something like that. And then halfway through the episode, Rigel's looked at as not. I'm not a deity. I'm just a king. I'm just I'm a Dominar. I'm a Dominar, and he's that. I love that scene. That was great.
David Hill says about Scorpius, he reminds me of Davros, how he can go from quiet and intelligent to frothing at the mouth mad. I was just thinking about that too. I was like, definitely a good parallel there.
Davros, who remains my favorite villain, one of my favorite villains. I have many.
Dr. Gary, you brought up a good point, because I love Farscape with all of my being, but Jeremiah Crichton is not a good episode. It's important to watch it the first time because you get some backstory for Rigel, but I don't ever watch it on the rewatch. I rewatch this whole season every year, and I always skip that one. I'll watch the commentary or listen to the commentary, but yeah.
There's always episodes you got to skip, and his beard in that one is god awful. And it was a Star Trek episode. It was like, oh, here's the one crew member who gets lost on the. Everybody does that. Okay, and here we go, and it's a character study. It's supposed to be a character study, and him falling in love with. It's like, oh god, but that was probably except for Rigel's moment that made it for me. I was like, okay, I liked Rigel's moment in that.
Right.
Who's dead?
Rigel is the Tyrion Lannister of Farscape from Retro Robot Radio. Yes.
Ooh, that's good.
Good comparison.
Yes.
That's really good.
Yeah. I didn't come up with that, but Retro Robot Radio said that. So
that's brilliant. Especially Tyrion in the book.
I gotta reread those books.
The show is a little more sympathetic to Tyrion than the book is. The book Tyrion is an ugly little monster, but he's still got a good heart. But only he knows it. Other people in the show know it, but stop it.
Sorry.
Rigel's. I like hashtag Rigel's moment. I saw another. Domineer for life. Hashtag Domineer for life.
Yeah, nice.
Oh man.
One of my favorite quotes from Farscape, and I actually watched the episode so I could get this just right. Right before John and Dargo are going to blow up the oil moon at the very last episode, they're having a conversation, and John says to Dargo, "How come I'm not afraid?" And Dargo says, "Fear accompanies the possibility of death. Calm shepherds its certainty." And John says, "I love hanging with you, man." I love those two.
Oh God.
Or they're driving the transport pod. He turns to Dargo and he's like, "How you doing?" He's like, "I have to pee."
I am fucking laughing all the time in this show too.
Yep.
That's what we mentioned that before, but
yeah.
Oh man.
There's such a great mix of humor and drama, and it's just kind of all there. And later on, some of the plot points are kind of, like they'll have an episode where it's like, yeah, I've seen that story before. But the way they do it, they put a new twist on it. And the characters are so great interacting against each other. When they cast Claudia Black for the role, they wanted somebody younger, but Ben Browder and Claudia Black had such great chemistry. They're like, no, this is it. We're right here. This is our show. It was a brilliant choice.
Absolutely. Okay. So, Ben Browder for Hal Jordan. Yeah. Even now, he still looks good. He was in a Doctor Who episode a few years back too. And, he was good. So I'm going to get a picture of her up because I want to talk about that. I want to talk about her a little bit. Right. Producing on the fly here. Producing on the fly. I am okay. So I know everybody likes, oh God, I'm forgetting her name now. I'm talking about the one everybody likes.
Chiana.
I am a straight up Aaron fan. I don't know why yeah, I like Aaron. I like maybe the dominatrix. She kind of has dominatrix face a little bit. Okay, let's just say it. It's not, and
Yes.
I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm saying that it's good. Um,
Mako. Claudia Black is the best dominatrix ever.
Great. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan of Erin. I love her story. I love how like she's the one. I like how she always ends up being kind of, well, not always, but a lot of times being the voice of reason and honor amongst these thieves and shitheads. And you know, the whole slow boil of her and John's relationship. Yeah, freaking love Erin so much, and she's a badass. So and it's not a fucking Mary Sue. She's got tons of flaws. Yep. She's fucked in the head. And you know, like I love when she's talking to John, and John's like, oh yeah, she was comparing like, you know, he longs for like being at home, being at the beach and stuff like that. I'm paraphrasing. She's all, I long for shit like this, hallways. That's where I grew up. And you know, she doesn't know where her family is. I mean, it's there's a very relatable character, right? But still believable, flawed, fleshed out. And that's in season 1 of a show 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, I tell you.
Buck. Yes.
And I love the whole Erin is very rigid and cold, and then she gradually warms up. And you know, in a lot of ways, the traditional masculine feminine roles are switched between Erin and John, because you know, he's more loving towards her and she's like, oh, get away, you know. And to watch her grow and change and kind of warm up, and he like works on her over the seasons. It takes a long time, you know. Yeah, all the characters evolve and change, but don't lose who they are. And that's another thing I love about this show.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys haven't watched it, which I'm sure everybody in here has, except for me, before that, she was raised, you know, in combat. She was enslaved. She was taken away from her parents at a very early age, and born to, and then when my favorite moment, they're like they're trained to die alone, you know, and duty and all that bullshit, and now she says my training is failing me.
She was bred to be a soldier. So that's all that she knew. And then here comes this stupid human and just fucks up her life. And she was all this happy, you know, peacekeeper destroying the lesser races. And then here he comes and she makes her have feelings and emotions. She's like, I hate this. I hate it. But
he turned the space Nazi. This, you know, the space Nazi had a heart after all.
Oh God, that's awesome.
Well, just Claudia Black's voice alone. I know she's done voices for like video games and stuff too. And she is also an opera singer. That woman is talented. Yes. It's a talented cast. In fact, Gigi Edgley is a musician. She sings. She plays in a band with her brother. Wayne Pygram, who plays Scorpius, is also in a band. Anthony Simcoe, who plays Dargo, is in a band, I believe, with Wayne Pygram. There's some talented people in here.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to look up some. Oh my gosh, a comics division showed up.
Who's that?
I don't know.
He all big timed us out to Austin, or no, to another city. I almost blew his fucking cover right there. But see, this is why you don't tell me shit. Don't ever fucking tell me your real name. Don't tell me where you live, because it's gonna slip.
Well, I live on the moon, so we're good.
But he's nowhere near that place anymore. But what's up, comics? At least I didn't say your name out loud, which I almost did to Feisty twice this episode. I just stop. It's hard. So I'm looking over this cast, and what are they doing now? I mean, like, they really need to bring them back. I think this will be.
I'm sorry. Tim F said that Gigi is adorable in real life. She's so nice at Comic-Con. I actually just subscribed to her Patreon. She's doing some music videos. She's doing lots of singing. She's had a list of credits, though, too. In fact, she was in Star Trek Continues. She had a part in one of those episodes.
Star Trek Continues is badass, by the way, and I haven't seen every single one, but I didn't realize Cass Anbar was in one too. He's got a little picture on his Twitter of him being in one. So I didn't catch that at all. Cass Andor from
met-
The Expanse, but
I met Gigi at a local small con in the city I live in like 3 or 4 years ago. So like putting that together, I'm like, oh, I met her before I started watching her show.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
She's really sweet too.
Yeah.
oh, there's no way I can say this name. Okay, Trog. Okay, it must be like multiple words put together. So
Trog
Trogo
Autocrat?
Autocrat 666. I have Farscape on VHS, but have learned so much. You have you have a VHS player still?
That's amazing. We have a VHS player. I watch my Star Wars tapes every once in a while.
Yeah, I gotta go and get one. I just found my box full of them. I've got my Hitchhiker in there, Flash, yeah, good stuff. Yes,
My
VHS. Kroll.
Yes,
Oh.
Kroll, one of my favorite movies. Yep, I went there.
Comics Division has been on a programming binge. That's good. You're making your game. That's good. Your game was cool, by the way. He's making a game, and it's cool.
Well, if you guys would like a little bit more trivia.
Yes, some more trivia.
Pilots, the species of pilot, he doesn't have a name, he's just a pilot, and his species is also pilot. They actually live 1,000 cycles, and when they're bonded to a Leviathan, Leviathans only live for 300 cycles. So when the Leviathan dies, the pilot dies.
Oh.
And they, if ever the pilot is separated from the Leviathan, they can only live for like half an hour, maybe. I mean, it's a short amount of time because they get all of their, once they're bonded, they're like, their internal organs are all embedded into the ship, and they get all of their nutrients. And yeah, they actually can't live outside of the Leviathan after that.
Space
Wow.
codependency.
Oh, it's so relatable. I can't even.
Yeah.
I got really like, what was that was the episode, gosh, where we find out a little bit about Pilot, and like when he's like, yeah, like, you know, we sacrifice everything to leave. That's the only way we can leave, blah, 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 is actually
Right.
if they, yeah, I was a little emotional. Yeah, the last, 3 or 4 episodes too. I'm like, is this a tear? Why am I crying?
Right? Why are you crying over puppets?
Why am I crying over? Yeah, no, I like when I'm emotionally invested in something, and I'm definitely emotionally invested in the show. So
Right. Well, next season, I'm not going to give anything away, but there is an episode which Claudia Black actually won a Saturn Award for her performance.
Ooh.
And it was all about her backstory and Pilot's backstory. And it is dark and emotional. And yeah, you'll love it.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. That
Next season.
yeah, I can't wait to start it. But we'll wait. Speaking of the Henson Company, real quick, we'll dive it right back to Farscape. But I've been promising, so in the next couple of weeks, my wife knows somebody who works for the Henson Company. And they will be on this show, and they will be talking about Dark Crystal.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yes. So
exciting.
Keep an eye out for that.
Nice.
Once in a while, we'll do an interview, but not that often. But yeah, I love the Henson Company so much, and voiced by Crace. Yeah, Pilot is voiced by Crace.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Lonnie Tupu, who plays Crace, also does the voice of Pilot. And then they added like a little bit of computer generated stuff. But yeah, he did both.
Wow. And they sound so, I mean, I guess I didn't notice at all. So
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep.
That's talent.
Talent.
It is. Such a talented cast.
Well, yes. And there's so much, this show is oozing with talent. And that's really what stands out the most. Is just the costuming, and everything else it's a cut above, and you can tell they did it on a budget, which I don't know. I think I just feel like you get so much more creativity when you limit the budget anyway.
Mhm.
So
I agree.
Yep.
Yes.
So what did you think about the fact that Zan is a murderer? When you find out of Rhapsody in Blue, when you go back to her past.
God, yeah. She okay, so she what we find out in the beginning is she led a coup, or tried to lead a coup on her planet. I think that's all I remember hearing.
Mhm.
We find out why now. Basically on her planet, the conservatives and the liberals are fighting. And her was it her husband or boyfriend or relation will just say, yeah, she kills him during sex,
Yes.
which I guess is a good way to go. I mean, if I'm going to go and I have a choice, yes. Just like, let's let things finish and then you can do what you need to do. But,
Right.
and it bothers her, but, I was kind of suspecting she had done something horrible. She had been hinting quite a bit. Murder, I was not expecting murder.
Right.
I was thinking betrayal, which it was. It was a huge betrayal. Her motivations are, and the thing is, that's what's great about the show is her motivations aren't totally pure either. I mean, just because she's on one side, they aren't all the good guys, and the other side is not all the bad guys, and that's what makes this show special. So I was a little shocked, Viking bitch. I was. And sorry, my dogs are barking in the background.
It's all right. And we get to see the cool Unity. I love Unity when she melds with Crichton, and it's like, what did he call it? It's like an acid trip and 30 years of good sex all rolled into one.
Yes. Wow. Dang. Well, that was we got there was that episode and the that old black magic where we started seeing, where she so the episode where she admits to, when Crichton finds out she kills somebody. Was that the one she gives up her priesthood and she starts changing from that point? Well, she started changing from that old black magic when she had to go in and fight the I forgot his name, the evil black wizard. And
Maldus,
thank you. Yeah. She had to defeat Maldus, and she said, well, I can't undo this now. Like, you're gonna have to help me. It took me years to get to this peaceful place. And she's been showing flashes of it. She even showed it in that episode that scared Crichton, like properly scared him when she, was doing the training. And so the leading up to that was cool. That was really cool. Now, and during this season, she was having all these problems with the makeup. That's what you told me. She was like getting an allergic reaction or something like that, or
yes. Virginia Hay actually shaved her eyebrows and her head for this role, so they could get.
Wow, she wasn't wearing a ball cap.
Nope, she actually shaved everything so that they could just paint directly on her skin, and it was about. You'll notice, like in season 2, her costume changes a little bit because she started getting kind of sick. Because in the first season, she had like a lower cut top on, so she had like her chest and her hands and her face were all covered. And so they changed her costume up a little bit so she could have less makeup on. But it just got to be, by season 3, she actually left the show because they even changed the makeup to more like a grease paint. But it was, she was in makeup for 5 hours a day. So, and then they would shoot for like, I want to say like, it was over 12-hour days. So it was a long time for all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
And what a trooper for trying it that long and being that uncomfortable. And that sucks. And like how into it she was to where she this has been my criticism of other actors in superhero shows and stuff. I love it when like, hey, you're going to be on a TV show, you're getting a big paycheck. And they probably didn't even ask her to do that. She probably just went out and did it. And that's brilliant because you can absolutely tell her head is shaved and it looks so good. And it's worth it for like 3 years. I'd do it. Whatever. Yeah. Rock on. That sucks what happened to her though, but
and I wish that I won't give it. Well, we'll wait for that. I wish it hadn't ended the way it did, but it did. So I will ignore that.
We will talk about that. I don't know if I want to bring back those old feelings, but I think it would be a good case study of like what happens to a show, especially when it had a following and it was more the network than anything else.
Yes.
And okay, so I'll ask you this question though. If Farscape got canceled today, would you think it would have got picked up by somebody?
I think yes, because there's more noise out there. Back then we still had fax machines because this was, early 2000s. And I was one of the people like, faxing the Sci-Fi Channel and being like, come on, so I, and there was, back then, there was a lot of people who did like, now they have like crowdfunding and stuff online. We didn't even have that back then. But there was a bunch of fans who got together and made a commercial for Farscape, and it was pretty big. I mean, it had a large following. But the problem with Farscape is because it's such a long story. By the time they got to season 4, you had to have seen the other 3 seasons. So people who had never seen it before can't just jump into season 4 and know what's going on because everything is connected. And then I just this year found out that there was the company that owned Henson at the time, a German company, was the one who actually canceled the contract. It wasn't Sci-Fi.
Really?
I boycotted the Sci-Fi Channel for like 15 years after this show got canceled.
Dang.
The first show,
Wow.
literally the first show I watched on Sci-Fi was Happy. I had not watched Sci-Fi Channel since Farscape got canceled. That's how pissed I was.
Wow. Holy shit. And,
I don't hold any grudges.
If it wasn't for Happy, and there's another show coming out that's on Sci-Fi that we're gonna have to watch.
Deadly Class.
Deadly Class. I'd be out. And listen, we know Happy will maybe last 1 or 2 more seasons, and Deadly Class will maybe last 1 or 2 seasons, and that's what we're gonna get. I'm totally down with you, but like doing these podcasts, I'm learning a lot more about about just the ins and outs of television because I never paid attention, and it's the production companies that actually put up the money. So that's like Fremantle with American Gods. That's the one who's paying for American Gods. ABC is paying for Daredevil, not Netflix. And yeah, none of these places put their own money. What they do is that's what producers are. They find other people to finance it, and sometimes they'll put up their own money, but not often. And it gets dicey, and that sucks. And it was the German company probably just ran out of money, maybe, or
the Farscape was a little more expensive than the other shows, so they were just like, nah, we're not going to pay for this. Even though we were promised a 5th season. And Matthew Madsen brought up a good point. We did get the miniseries called Peacekeeper Wars, and it was kind of compressed because it was supposed to be an entire season. They kind of shoved it into 2 hours. And some of the actors couldn't be brought back. So, a minor character was played by a different actor, So, I mean, but I was just happy to get that. As the ending of season 4 just destroyed me. I mean, you guys will get there. I'm not going to give anything away, but I was bawling and just, it was terrible. Oh. And at that point, it was a year and a half before we got Peacekeeper Wars. So
I remember that.
Oh, it was just this whole, I mean, I'll just say the end of season 4 was a cliffhanger, and then it was done, and it was just like, no. And so then it was, the scramble to try and, get anyone's attention and just asking everyone, could you please pick this show up? And, but we got the Peacekeeper Wars. So
yeah, we got some closure.
Yes.
What did you say down there? Comics division. Hang on. I'm going to put up our paper. We got to wrap things up. I'm going to put up my Patreon video because I got to do another show. But I wanted to read comics division. Today I would think it would get picked up, but he said something else down here. What else did you say? Oh, he said, I know it sucks. These shows will get canceled, but most networks won't take the chance. They won't because it's expensive to do genre. Oh God, we need some. Well, that's why. Thank God we got Bezos. Yes, he's a corporate titan. Okay, I hate to like prop him up too much, but he's a nerd. He's a freaking nerd, and he likes this shit. So I think Amazon will be our ultimate destination for all nerdy stuff when everybody else gives up on it, which I predict is soon. Once the streaming wars are over and people start saving money, we're not going to see as much sci-fi and stuff out there, which kind of sucks. But now I'm fully into Farscape. Now I'm going to go those comics you were talking about. Got to find them. I got to look for them now. This is the kind of wacky collector I am. So yes. So, I should also hit play on our video. That would.
I was like, what's the play?
Oh, that's what happens when I know, right? Hang on, I can't find it now. This is self-produced garbage here. Not garbage, but good. This is my garbage. Hang on. So where did it go? There it goes.
I will admit one thing. I am kind of a bad scaper. I have not read all of the Farscape comics. Some of them are good. Some of them are But at least there is that too. We do get that continuation of the story. So,
well, that's good.
Aw.
because that's what we need, and that's what comics are perfect for. It's not on television stuff, but it gives you something. I mean, if you're a Buffy fan, I highly recommend you read the Buffy comics, season 8, 9, and 10. Those are fun. Those are good. And Doctor Who comics are quite good. Well, the 10th Doctor ones anyway. So here you are seeing our wonderful patrons, to where Feisty and Viking Bitch are both patrons. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
And you can get stuff if you sign up for our Patreon. We got some packages going out this month. We got some new patrons. You're also getting more content. Pretty soon you're going to be getting daily content, which could be good or bad. I'm not sure. And everybody in the chat, well, we had like consistently 70 people in here. That is amazing. So thank you. And we got another super chat. Movie
Nice.
Fanobi, $2. Gary, Viking Bitch, Feisty. This is a trio I can get behind. Sir, you
Wow.
stand far in front of us. No, I'm just kidding.
Another super
just
chat.
Oh, Slurmy.
It's Slurmy Scott, $5 for Gary and the Giggling Girls.
My laugh is kind of very distinct.
It's
So, yes.
infectious. Your
Yes.
guys, both your laugh is infectious. What?
Thank you.
The next review, Mako, is going to be High Castle's tomorrow. We're doing Better Call Saul finale tonight, and then I'm going to do a recorded one on Manifest and Gifted, and High Castle is the live one. That's tomorrow. And then there's a Wednesday nooner. So those are our next few shows, and then there'll be a surprise. What's the Farscape word for nooner? We gotta look. Oh, there probably isn't one. It's probably just
recreation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's it
they
called?
call
Movie Fanobi. Hey, Gary.
A nooner is called recreating.
Recreating. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
So that could be a new thing. The Nerdrotic channel recreating.
Oh. Well, we definitely. Did you guys have fun? I had fun.
Absolutely. This is so much fun. Thank you for having me on. I could talk about Farscape forever.
No problem. And we need to have you on for our Venture Brothers retrospective of the season too. Because Viking Bitch is into the Venture Brothers as well. And we really need to break down season 7 with all the theories, and we're going to go over some of our comments, which are hilarious, by the way. My God,
Nice.
you guys are so funny. So I'd love for you to join us there.
Yeah.
Feisty will be joining us soon for probably a superhero movie review or something like that. We'll be doing something. And our newest show we're going to be doing January 9th is Project Blue Book, and we're going to have Dennis and Susan covering that one. That was confirmed today. Very excited about that. So yes, Domineer for life, Farscape forever. You guys are great. Thank you everybody in the chat for joining us. We will be doing season 2. So I'll let you know. Hopefully that's sooner than later. We'll say within the next month. How's that? Is that doable? Okay. We'll do it we'll try to do these once a month till we're done with the seasons, and we'll decide on a definitive day. So what is today? Monday is the 8th. So maybe we can do November 8th. We'll shoot for that. It's not for sure yet, but we'll shoot for that. Okay. So doors and corners, everybody. Ladies, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. Great chat. Thank you. I love Farscape. Love you all. Oh, and Feisty's internet is being weird.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a £2 super chat.
Nice.
Said was fun. Thanks, Rollocat. Really appreciate that. So Feisty, you want to say goodbye again? Thank you for the super chats, by the way, guys. Hang on.
We're done.
We're done. We're not done. We're still waiting for you to say goodbye. Oh man, now Jesus.
She blew out her mic.
Totally blew out her mic.
Yeah, bye guys. Woo!
Oh great.
It's so weird.
Oh no. YouTube, the Creator Studio, which I love, we're replacing it with the new Creator Studio. I don't like that. I change frightens me. Again, I want to change. Speaking of which, real quick before we go, we have to thank our super chatters who keep the lights on around these parts. Movie Fanobi was this episode was brought to you by Movie Fanobi for $5, $2, and $2. Cormoran for $5 Australian. Thank you. Good night. Slurmy Scott, $5. Rolocat, £2 or €2, whatever it is. Thank you so much, everybody. You all have a great night. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm a scaper yet, but I'm getting close.
Oh, you're absorbed into the cult of Farscape. You can't escape now. Escape for life.
All right.
What's going on with my?
I don't know, Feisty. But thanks, Feisty, and thank you too for joining us. And everybody have a good night. See you for Better Call Saul. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.